Hello investors, welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I'm going to be walking you through three of what I believe to be the best ETF out there that can be added to your portfolio to serve two purposes: for exponential growth and also consistent growth. I'll be giving you a step-by-step walkthrough of these three ETFs, and I'll let you know how I apply it to my own personal portfolio. And at the end of the video, I will let you know which one of these I actually do own in my personal portfolio. Now, for those of you new here, my name is Tim, and I'm that guy that started off this investment portfolio with just $65. Since then, I have made a commitment to go ahead and keep adding $250 to the portfolio in order to grow the portfolio consistently over time. Now, for today's video, we're not going to go ahead and get into the personal holdings of the portfolio. I'm going to be walking you through just three ETFs that I think are really good right now. Now, the first of those three is going to be none other than IGV, which is going to be the iShares ETF. Now, I want you guys to remember the different varieties of ETFs as I walk you through. This first one is going to be iShares. Now, at the current price of $76.97, this stock has had a real pullback, or rather, this ETF had a real pullback, as well as the overall broader market, as most of you have seen. Now, I really like this ETF for a couple of reasons. The number one reason I really like it is because it is what's known as tech heavy. Now, as you can see here, the technology sector of this ETF is around 90%. That is a very huge concentration, but that doesn't stop there. The actual reason why I like it is not only its tech, is the nature of the tech that consists in this portfolio. And the tech that it has is the tech software. So all these companies here are tech software companies. Now, these companies individually have been down as well. So someone like me that likes investing, I want to buy most of these companies, but I cannot. So what I would do, I'd go ahead and add this ETF to my portfolio in order for me to get the gains that all these stocks are going to have if they decide to go back up. Now, just continuing with this sector, like I said, in addition to the 90% technology, if you continue going down, you're going to see the asset under management, or the AUM. The AUM is going to be around 10 billion. In the three ETFs I'm going to highlight today, this one is one of the smallest when it comes to asset under management. Now, this one here is going to be a passively managed ETF, means that it just follows another bigger ETF. Now, the dividend yield of this is going to be 0.02, which is not much. However, the expense ratio is 0.39. So in this case, you're actually going to be paying to own this ETF in your portfolio. So your expense ratio is 0.39, whereas the money you're going to be receiving as a dividend is going to be 0.02, so it's a lot less. The only way you could go ahead and make money with this portfolio is actually if the share price just consistently keeps going up over time. So you're actually paying to own this one. Now, the last thing I want to bring to your attention for this overall portfolio, if you go ahead and do some more extensive research, you're going to see that although this portfolio you actually have to pay to own it in your portfolio, you could see that it has a lot of upside in the long run. So consider adding this one to your portfolio. Now, if you guys think this is one ETF that can be added to your portfolio, then just go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Now, the next ETF that I think everyone should have in their portfolio is going to be none other than JEPQ. Now, JEPQ now is what's going to be JP Morgan. Remember, the first one was iShares. Now, this one is JP Morgan. So right now, if you were to have both of these in your portfolio, you're going to be diversified according to companies, not sectors, but companies. Now, it does have a modest price of $54. Now, what I really like about it, once again, is that it is heavy tech. Although it is heavy tech, it's completely different tech from the first one I highlighted, which was the IGV. I will show you that in just a second. So this one, although it's heavy tech, is a lot more diversified than the previous. So with only 51% tech, the other 49% is more spread out. So this portfolio is a lot more diversified, and it's going to be a lot more consistent with giving you gains than the previous one that I just showcased. Now, I really like this one for a couple other reasons. Before I show you that, I want to show you the actual tech that this one holds. Now, the previous one I did show you, it has a lot of tech software. This one have a lot of tech companies. So although they're both in tech, there are different aspects in the technology sector. Now, this one, asset under management, is going to be 33 billion, which is a step up from the first one that has asset under management of around 10 billion. Now, the expense ratio here is 0.35, which I think is justifiable because this one now is known as an actively managed ETF. It means that all the additions and the removals, everything that goes into this portfolio is actually managed by a portfolio manager. So this particular ETF is wide known because of its high paying dividend yield. As you can see, it's upwards of 10%, but most importantly, it has a payout on a monthly basis. Yes, I did not say that incorrect. It does pay out on a monthly basis. So the expense ratio here actually justifies the amount of dividend yield that it pays out. So this one, you're going to actually be paid to own it, as opposed to the first one I showed you, you actually paying to own it. So I really like that about the JEBQ. So if I were to have a portfolio, I would not have the same stocks if I were to go ahead and add JEBQ or IGV. The reason for that is that although both of them are tech, they're part of different tech. Now, what I'm going to do if I have a portfolio of IGV and a portfolio of JEBQ, both of them are tech. So that's going to make the portfolio very volatile. Although, like I mentioned several times, they are different types of tech. So what I would do is that I would go ahead and add a third ETF to the portfolio, and that's going to be SCHD. Now, SCHD is a Schwab ETF. Now, this is the third one. So the first one was iShares, the second one was JP Morgan, and this one is Schwab. So by adding these three to your portfolio, you diversified according to companies. Now, this one has a smallest share price of the three, and that smallest price is going to be $30.49 per share. Now, this one is one of my favorite. The reason why this one is one of my favorite is because it's way more diversified than the other ones. So as you can see here, if we go to look for tech, tech only represents around 14%, so the rest of the portfolio is spread out with the other market sectors. So by adding this one to your portfolio with the previous two, this one really brings that balance to your portfolio. And this one is going to allow you to get consistent income as the portfolio progresses because it too pays a nice dividend. Now, if you were to go down and you look out the top 10 holdings of the stock, you could see the top 10 holders. Most of these stocks here are what's known as dividend kings or dividend aristocrats, meaning they have been paying dividends for a very long time. They have been increasing the dividends for a very long time, and they are part of the S&P 500. Now, if we were to go down, although this one has the smallest share price of the three, it does have the highest assets under management at 83 billion, almost 84 billion. Now, I did mention about the dividend it pays, and the dividend it pays around 3.41%, which I think is really, really nice. Once again, it brings that calmness to the portfolio of three different ETF. The expense ratio here is going to be 0.06, which is, once again, it justifies by the price that the dividend that it pays. So the dividend is higher than the expense ratio that we have here. So to round it all off, the IGV, JEPQ, and the SCHD ETFs can all be added to your portfolio, and they're all going to bring different diversification to your portfolio, and also it's going to bring different payments to you on a regular basis. The JEPQ does pay a really nice dividend of over 10%, and that dividend is paid on a monthly basis. IGV does not pay any kind of dividend to actually make a difference. The Charles Schwab does pay a 3.4% dividend and pays that on a quarterly basis. So by adding all three of these to your portfolio, you're going to have a nice balanced portfolio that brings in consistent income. Now I want to hear from you. Is there any one of these three ETFs are you considering adding to your portfolio, or are you going to go ahead and do what I'm doing, which is adding all three of these to my portfolio? In my personal portfolio, I do have all three of these ETFs across my different portfolios. So there you have it, investors. Consider these three ETFs. I think they're the best three ETFs trading right now that should be a part of anyone's portfolio. Not all three of them together, but you decide. Only you and you alone could decide for your portfolio. Now, if you have not already, please go ahead, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Now, I do go ahead and put out as much information as I possibly can in order for me to help you Keep pushing your investments.